going on, everybody? King Mike here with another video for you guys. Yes, this is my Dragon Ball Super review, but first and foremost though, I really apologize. I gotta apologize, man, for the delay in videos. I did not upload a video to the last episode of Dragon Ball Super, I believe, which was episode 102. I've been under the weather for the past week, and as of this morning, I was very sick. But I am here. I'm starting to feel more like myself. Still, improving, recovering, but, definitely feel good enough to make a video. So what I'm going to do with this video, because I'm trying to be good about covering each video, I'm going to go ahead and make this a something of a half and half type deal. I'm going to review Dragon Ball Super episode 102, last week's episode. I'm going to review that really quick, very briefly. Not going to be long at all, because there really isn't much to talk about. But anyway, I'm going to review that really quick, and then I'm going to go ahead and get into tonight's episode, okay? So let's go ahead and get into it. First things first, last week's episode, to be honest, it was decent, and the only reason why I'm giving it decent is because Android 17 saved that episode. Like, okay, I normally don't have things or issues with Dragon Ball related things. I just don't. I grew up with it. I appreciate this anime and everything it has to give. Whether people like some of the things or not, it's Dragon Ball. There is a reason why it is the greatest anime of all time. I don't care what people gotta say in the comments. It's the greatest anime of all time to me. Okay? Or I rather, there's a lot of animes that have not seen nearly as much success like this, on this scale, as Dragon Ball. Whatever. Debatable. But anyway, you don't start off an episode, especially a Dragon Ball, Super episode, where the first 6 minutes are of a cheesy transformation. Look, I get it. I absolutely get it. They're trying to, expose us to, different characters and different transformations and stuff like that. I understand. Sorry, my legs were getting tired, so I had to turn. Anyway, I understand where they were coming from. But 6 minutes and twice? Come on. We could we not at least have got a little bit of a, scrimmage or some sort of little fight before they pulled out that, you know what I'm saying? And then it's like, why? Why does it gotta be so cheesy, though? Why? And then and that's not even the biggest part. Why is it that Goku tells 17 to let them charge up fully? If anything, why did 17 listen? It's like, yo, everything Goku, like, bro, everything literally has a chance of being erased. The more you keep being all laid back and playing it cool, you run the risk of losing folks. And it's like Goku seems to only care when something goes wrong. Other than that, it's okay, it's all gonna be fine, yada yada yada. Of course, I know I've come to bat to Goku in the past. I'm like, yo, that's Goku. If you're a Dragon Ball fan, you shouldn't be surprised. But the reason why I'm, taking a bit of a, little issue with it now, a little bit of an issue, okay? I'm not saying I hate Dragon Ball Super or nothing like that. I love it, whatever. Call me fanboy, doesn't matter. I like what I like, you like what you like, doesn't matter. Anyway, but the reason why I'm taking issue with it now a little bit is because I can kind of understand where people are starting to come from when they talk about Dragon Ball Super and Goku and some of the characters. I understand where they're coming from now. After looking at it from a different point of view, I can see where they're coming from. The Dragon Ball Super is something a lot of us grew up watching. And most of it's pretty good memories. And in certain ways, the way they portray some of the signature characters that we know, such as Goku, they got them on point usually, but certain aspects they put too much emphasis on. Like, yeah, Goku was a loose cannon, but he was, they made him look like a genius in his own way. When it comes to fighting, now he doesn't even really get too much of that anymore. And in certain ways they make him way too laid back. uh, I don't know. It's just some things I can see where people are coming from. They just need to make it more serious. But anyway, enough of this episode. Because if I can talk about it anymore, I'm gonna be upset. Because I'm sorry, that episode as a whole, it was trash for the most part. Majority of it was trash, but the rest of it was good only because of 17. Anyway, moving on. So, can we give a round of applause for Gohan? Like, bro, he needs the MVP award as well. Give him an award too. Like, dude, Gohan showed out tonight. Like, he showed up ready to fight. I don't know what type of stuff Goku's on, but Gohan on the other hand, no, shoot, not just Gohan, Piccolo too. Man, they came to put in some work. They came to take care of business. Okay. Gohan, went up against Botamo, and you know what? I really liked how they did, Gohan in this episode. Basically, he kept punching Gohan kept punching Botamo. Botamo basically was just getting punched over and over and over and over again, and for a minute I was like, okay, where are they going with this? We've seen this before. They keep punching Botamo as if something is supposed to happen, and it doesn't. I was scared that they were going to pull like a Vegeta or a Goku thing where they just keep hitting him, and it's like, bro, he's not moving, nothing's happening. Think of something else. But I was starting to wonder, but then I saw what was going on. You could almost bring physics into this. The way Gohan, brought out, or put out Botamo, he just kept punching, and then after a while, there was Gohan just, I guess, was punching Botamo so hard he was starting to cause, vibrations and shock waves, and stuff like that, to a point it kind of, gained traction and allowed Gohan to, lift Botamo all while punching him all the way off the platform. Well, he kicked him off, then hit him with a Kamehameha, and then that's, how it got him off. But then, of course, Botamo, is like, oh, I can't believe this, blah, blah, blah. Shot a little mouth beam at Gohan. Gohan savagely blocked it away. He's like, really, bruh? Got rid of it. And then, of course, it's about freaking time that they did something with Piccolo. Like, seriously. I was so happy to see Piccolo not only in action again, but to see a signature move of his, we got to see the blah, 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 blah. I can't talk today. We got to see the Hell Zone grenade in action. I thought that was pretty good. Of course, I really kind of was beginning to worry a little bit. Yes, normally Piccolo is the one who dodges and then gets the hits. But in this case, whoever this guy was, he went on in and jawed Piccolo and just beat him for a minute. But then, Piccolo's like, nah, it's okay. I got you, bruh, and got rid of him. It took Piccolo one attack, basically. What took this guy several, it only took Piccolo one, attack, and that was it. That was all she wrote. So I'm glad that Piccolo finally got some screen time, some action, and he knocked somebody out. That was good. Got him eliminated. And so, of course, 17 showed up. And he was a savage again. Yes, you gotta give him another award. Look, anytime 17 comes in and shows out and raises all kinds of hell, you got to give him an award. Because he did it again. In fact, I dare say he did even better this episode than what he did, in the last one. He was fighting Ribrianne and they were going in. They were taking care of business. I was really skeptical about her character, but I gotta be honest. I'm gonna give her some kudos. I'm gonna give her some credit, okay? She went to work in this episode, okay? She wasn't playing any games. Skip all that bubbly stuff. And here's my thing. It's not the fact that it's the bubbly stuff that really gets to me. It's just the way they use it. It's like, see, now I would have been fine if they were, having their transformations and it was similar to kind of how Ribrianne is now, all pissed off. Like, I would have been fine with that, but all that other, extra exaggerated stuff, it's like, get out of here, bro. But anyway, Ribrianne and 17 throwing punches, man, they were going in. They were going in. You got the lightning and stuff, appearing and stuff around them fighting. Now that was definitely a classic, homage to how it used to be in, the golden days of Dragon Ball Z. Every time a fighter, like Goku or Vegeta or somebody were fighting, you always had the lightning around them and stuff like that. That was good to see. And then, of course, Goku was still getting pushed back by this chick. Can't think of her name. And then, of course, she was about to get, I guess, injure him. And, of course, 17 came in and saved him, with his little barrier. And then, of course, Ribrianne's like, oh, no, you not finna put me on hold. And then, 17's like, oh, sorry, whatever. And they get to fighting. It was a good episode. It was a really good episode. I liked it. I liked what I saw. And then, of course, though, I also have to address the fight between Gohan and I can't think of his name. It's the guy. All I know is his name started with a B. But anyway, yeah, that was a really good fight. I love the way the animation looked when this fight came along. Gohan was looking great. Oh man, I like the way this Mystic form is looking. I really, really like it. And it's interesting because when he went Mystic, it just kind of took me back to the Majin Buu saga when he first got it. It's like, yo, Dragon Ball has come a long way. And for those of you guys, who were definitely, from that era, the old days, you can remember what the quality looked like. I mean, still, it was epic to me. I loved it. I loved the way it looked. But then when you see how it is now, even though it's more high def and it's definitely kind of been watered over a little bit, it still kind of makes you appreciate how far, my childhood anime has come. I love it. Just kind of makes you think. It's like, dang, I remember how it used to look, and now it's looking like this. They really cleaned it up. Still think they should have kept the blood though. Like, yo, they need to have more scuff marks. They need more blood. I'm just saying, like, it needs to be Smash Mouth epic. But anyway, but yeah, the fight with Gohan and this dude, Gohan definitely went in. He really, really came in, all guns a-blazing with his mystic form. And this guy's ability was quite interesting. It kind of almost reminded me of the shadow clone technique, from Naruto and stuff like that. And I'm not going to go any further than that. This is Dragon Ball, not Naruto. No, I'm not trying to start a Naruto versus Dragon Ball Z thing in the comment section, so I'm going to just refrain from going any further. But the concept was still pretty similar, though. Basically, I guess this guy could divide his energy into little faint versions of himself, and basically it was to keep, his opponents from reading his moves, and, it's to camouflage his moves and stuff like that. Pretty clever, but the way the technique worked, like I said, kind of reminds you of shadow clones. When you use it, whenever you use something like this, it, takes away from your original power, cuts it in half or whatever. Same case with this guy. He went to his limit, those little images of him, I guess, after images, whatever you want to call them, they disappeared, and Gohan, he got in there, got in that dude's grill, man. He went ahead and, gave dude a few good hits, and then, of course, finally eliminated him, with a beautiful Kamehameha. Now, I love that one. That was great. He got rid of the dude with a beautiful Kamehameha, and unfortunately, Universe 10 did get destroyed. And it got to me a little bit, and not in a bad way, but it's like, when you think about it, we kind of just got out of, an arc that definitely revolved around Universe 10, you know what I'm saying? A rogue Kai in training basically was threatening everything, and then, of course, future Zeno has to come and fix everything, and then it's like, here comes the tournament, and that universe that was just saved, literally, gets erased, And it just makes me wonder what's going to happen later in the anime, because it's like, some of these characters we are getting introduced to, there's a chance they'll be erased, and they may never come back. At least that's what, from what my understanding of Zeno's power is. When you're erased, you cannot be brought back by any means necessary. Like, Zeno is literally, he truly is the ultimate power in Dragon Ball. Because it's like, once you're gone, you're gone. There is no dying. There's nothing like that. Your essence, your history, everything about you is gone, as in you never existed. Man, it was crazy. And then, the part where Gohan had, saw that guy's little picture with his family. It's like, bro, when you get rid of a fighter in this tournament, you're literally getting rid of their families, their future families, descendants. Like, everything about them is gone, and it's because of you. It makes me wonder what's going to happen, but I still have faith in the process. I think we're going to see more things, more epic things as the shows and things go on. But anyway, I'm done. Peace out. Remember to stay mighty. You can do anything and everything you put your mind to. Always stay mighty, and you can be mighty too. Have a good weekend, you guys. Peace.